there really isn't a way to start this. That I don't enjoy this part of this. Losing players when they're so bloody young, 25 years of age. I hadn't even had a girlfriend by the time I turned 25. Steady girlfriend. I was almost 26 when that happened. So it is way too early for a person like Colby Cave to be gone, and I don't know any way to discuss this. It's on all over Twitter. It's all over Instagram, all the social media stuff. It's all over any hockey related site right now. And from what I've seen, he was very popular with his teammates. He was a really upbeat, decent guy. And yeah, we're in an age right now where it's tough. The number of former players and coaches that we're seeing notices of having passed away, that I don't cover this because in general right now we're looking for that news that takes us away from all of that. And so I don't normally report on that. And that is a big part of the reason why I don't enjoy that part of it. And it's hard for me because I'm a guy in a single room here, didn't meet him, and I can't provide you the insight that people right now sharing on Twitter, social media, on TSN, Sportsnet. I can't share what they can. So my recommendation would be to check out as many of those as possible. And of course, my thoughts are with Colby and his family. And this is also only a few days after the 2-year anniversary of the Humboldt accident. So, there are tough dates. We're going to reach some tough dates across the world over the next while too. Because while that's happening, of course, we're seeing some numbers, some sobering numbers worldwide when it comes to that thing that's happening out there that we all know about, and people come to this channel here not to talk about. And I get that. I do, because we do need a bit of a break from thinking about all of that. Now, I don't have a way to transition out of that. I don't. I really don't. So I'm just going to pause for a moment here. And I'm going to move on to the next thing. And it's something I've seen on social media as well that I don't understand it. And I've seen it on the channel here and I don't understand it. So right now there's a lot of businesses that are closed. A lot. And there are a lot of businesses being told you can't open. And yet I don't see people bad-mouthing bars and pubs and everything if they are even hoping they get to reopen in the next year. I know it's people saying, we can't think about pubs right now. We can't think about that right now. But as soon as a professional sport talks about what they're thinking about if they're going to be able to get something salvaged, people get really mad. And I find that weird, because we don't get mad at any other business right now. We don't get mad at businesses for declaring themselves essential when they don't have to. For businesses that go, yeah, all right, well, we kind of fall into that category. WWE right now is telling people, yeah, we're going to keep doing live shows. Florida's not shutting us down. We're going to keep going. That's a problem. That's a problem that they're basically declaring their media, so they're essential, and the thought process being that maybe with Vince losing XFL, it's not coming back next year. They've already said they're done for this year. They're not coming back next year. Vince might be worried about losing everything out of his empire, and if he's going to force people to work through this, that'll hasten its demise. Now, and as they say here, I don't understand all the hate towards sports, so I'm just going to go through. There's an article on the NHL, and I'm going to read to you guys what Bill Daly said yesterday regarding the season, and talking about the NHL being willing to play games at neutral sites. If you're in Saskatoon, it's been one of the sites that's been sort of thrown around as potentially being there. I'd say it's one possibility for sure, and it's something that's been considered and something that's been discussed. It's not our preferred result or outcome. Daly said officials have begun creating lists of what they would need, as they are for other possibilities. Our goal is to be prepared, or be as prepared as we possibly can for any opportunity, and be able to react to the situation on very little notice to kind of set a course. But at this point, it continues to be premature to set that course. So there's no plan I've been saying this, there's no plan to shut down. There's no plan. It's already closed off right now. They're just waiting for some kind of guidance on this. Players are directed to self-quarantine through April 15th, which is Wednesday. And then Daly says, I would be surprised if that doesn't get extended. So players have been self-quarantined for over a month. And that's going to continue. Daly said in 25 of the NHL's 31 markets it'd be difficult for team facilities to open to the players because of local directives. Many stay-at-home orders run through the end of April. The NHL's taking cues from government and health authorities on safety. So, again, they're in work with local health officials, and they have been the whole way through, before the shutdown, too. In a large respect, they're in control of the timetable. We're not getting back on May 1st, right? We're not playing games on May 1st. We're probably not in a position to open our facilities by May 1st, although we'll see. So it's a wait-and-see approach that they're taking. The window remains open to finish the regular season of Stanley Cup playoffs. The NHL has asked for arena availabilities through August and could push back the start of next season while playing a full schedule. I think we still have scenarios where we think we can complete a regular season and play a playoff tournament that looks like our normal playoff tournament and have an off season and start of next year that will be a complete season. We've got some time to work with. So again, there isn't any pressure to call it all off. The most creative idea Daly's heard came from someone in Europe. Why not fly all the teams to his country and finish it there? I thought that was kind of novel, even with me being of the view I never want to rule out any possibility. I think that one would be unrealistic, and I agree. Daly speaks regularly to Steve Petros, the NHL Executive Vice President of Scheduling and Broadcast Business. We're looking at when we would have to start to complete a full season next year, how much time we'd need in the off-season between seasons this year, how much time we'd need for the playoffs in different types of scenarios, whether we can fit regular season games in, and how many and how much time we'd need on that in different scenarios. The NHL Deputy Commissioner also speaks regularly to the NHLPA, members of which must decide how to handle their last paycheck amid a revenue shortfall. Percentage of the players' salaries is held in escrow as part of the system that ensures a 50-50 split in hockey-related revenues between the players and the owners. I think the situation's warranted a very regular, frequent dialogue with the Players Association. I think we've worked well together. Sometimes in emergent situations like this, it really kind of brings parties together. And I would say that it's been a very cooperative relationship, cooperative approach at this point, which I view as positive. I can say that we've been consistent and remain of the view that we want to play if we can. So that's what they're saying. If we can, we will. We want to conclude the 1920 season if we can. I think the players are strongly aligned of that view, which is a positive. I haven't got a sense from anybody in my interactions with the Players Association that any player wants to pull the plug on this, unless and until health authorities tell us we have to pull the plug on the season. That continues to be our sole objective. The NHL has not set a deadline for a decision on canceling the season. If we get information tomorrow that suggests continuing this process is not the right way to go, that could all change. But we have every intention of using all the time we have with the outside goal of preserving a full season next year to play this out, and that's how I expect it will go. I expect we're not going to know enough to make any determinations in the near term. We're fully committed to playing again this year, and we'll wait as long as we possibly can wait to make that determination. There's no pressure on them to make a decision. But I do find it weird that all around the business world, it's perfectly fine to talk about reopening anything as long as it's not sports. Even though sports go a long way to supporting restaurants, pubs, various entities that even if you don't have fans in attendance, you're going to increase a lot of things. Things are going to get better. You know, I've talked about this. My revenue right now is down about 80%. From where it was, a month ago when we were still playing hockey games. I'm still getting the views. I'm just not getting any money for it because right now advertisers aren't paying any money for advertising. And so, there are days where I look at my numbers at the end of the day and I say, well, I didn't make enough. That's not good. But I'm still doing videos every day because there's a sense of normalcy there. And I think that's part of what appeals about sports too. Some sense of some kind of a normalcy. I saw, baseball's talking about playing in Arizona and Florida, and right away people are, oh, you can't. And again, It's just something they're looking at, and I'm not sure that I understand the complete and total outrage towards sports as opposed to everything else. If a local pub came out and said, "Well, we hope we'll be open in a month," you're not going to see people saying crazy. I would hope you're not going to see people saying crazy, terrible things to that pub for wanting to open in a month. And it's strange too, because the one thing that I've seen is, well, sports doesn't care about the fans, they only care about the money. Well, if they didn't care about the fans, we would have kept playing games. If they didn't care about the fans, they wouldn't have shut down. They shut down before all these stay in place orders went into effect. They did this before that. And they honestly, if they didn't care about fans, something would be going on somewhere. And they do. So that's the thing that I don't understand, because of course they do. And there's a whole liability issue if a fan goes into a building and catches this from a player. And so, I mean, obviously they're going to care. And so that's where we stand right now. I don't understand the rage people have against it. I also don't understand people clicking on videos of mine and then saying, "You need to stop talking about hockey." What did you expect? Someday I'm just gonna start up a video and I'm gonna be just cutting flowers in the front yard. I just cut flowers in the front yard. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's where we're gonna go. All right. That being said, we will move along to the next item, which is Curtis McDermott gets a 2-year extension, $875,000 a year, and that's a pretty decent chunk of change for McDermott. McDermott, decent depth defenseman, and for $875K, I think that's a good deal for him and for the Kings. A little bit of toughness in there, and you can always use that in today's game. Michael Tepley has signed an entry-level contract with the Chicago Blackhawks, who drafted him last year. He was the number 105 overall pick last year for the Chicago Blackhawks. So we'll see if that's a fourth rounder that ends up being a surprise, addition to the regular roster or not. Now, if you're a Montreal fan and you're like, "Hey, Romanov, when's he coming over?" Soon. Now, he hasn't signed a contract yet, so there's that. But apparently it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of what contract he's going to sign. So they're not they're not going to sign him yet, but if Bill Daly gets his wish and we get some form of hockey, he would sign for the rest of 2019-2020. He would sign for the rest of this season and into next year. And apparently there's no concern about burning a year off the contract, because as long as he hasn't played 40 games, which he wouldn't, you don't burn a year towards unrestricted free agency. So that's where your contracts, they don't worry about burning a year off if they know they don't have to worry about unrestricted free agency. So, yeah, we'll see where he ends up, like when he ends up here, and where Montreal's first game will be. But it sounds like he'll be on the Montreal Canadiens their next time on the ice. And I've said, if they have Romanov, they have some good young defense there, and if they could come through at the draft and get like a Jamie Drysdale, something like that, they're in pretty good shape. And Montreal could be an exciting young team pretty darn quick. The interesting thing, too, is that when Romanov was at the draft, his central scouting had him at 115th among European prospects, which apparently Montreal laughed at, because they knew what he could do, and they knew where they were going to draft him. And when they saw him rated that low, they just thought it was ridiculous. Which, again, shows that, teams internally will have a different structure and a different idea of where guys should go in the draft than what Central Scouting tells you or any of the draft sites will tell you. This is why guys get drafted that are off the board, and then guys fall. Because teams collectively might say, "We don't like this player." And so while Central Scouting's like, "We're big fans of this guy," he might drop from, say, like where he is at 8th, and might drop all the way to 20th. Because teams are like, "We don't want that guy. We want this one more." So that's what happens. If you're a big Nikolai Goldobin fan, well, he's apparently ready to sign in the KHL. This is from Rick Dollywall, reported on this today, that he was willing to come back to the Canucks and they weren't interested in signing him to another contract, which does not surprise me. This means that if they don't offer him any kind of qualifying offer, he just becomes a UFA, and it sounds like he probably goes to the KHL. Now, if they qualify him, that means they hold his rights until he comes back. But it looks like he'll try the NHL again in 2 years. That's what he told Rick. And Goldobin is making his exit from the Canucks, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Uh, Basically, that's something that I think we saw coming about a year ago, that the Canucks were not enamored with his play, and I would guess that he'll come back in 2 years' time. Goldobin's one of those guys that he's really really good at the AHL level. He shows some signs at the NHL level, but he's not consistent enough to get a top six role, and he doesn't play the kind of hockey that you're looking for in a bottom six guy. So we'll see if 2 years from now he ends up coming back and follows through on the promise he showed as a prospect a few years back. But for now, he looks like he's done at the NHL level. All right, there you go. News of the day. Once again, my thoughts, condolences go out to family and friends of Colby Cave. I know that doesn't scratch the surface of anything. It sucks. And at this time, we're just already, we're dealing with a lot of stuff, and you may know somebody right now who's going through this. You may be going through this yourself. You may have a job on the front lines working in medical where you're seeing this. So it's a tough time. This is why I've been saying lately, just stay safe, stay home when you can. Stay home, not for yourself, stay home for those medical professionals. They don't want to see you. No offense, but the hospital doesn't want to see more people right now. So if you stay home and you stay healthy, you're making them happy because they don't have to see you right now. And it's a tough time, but we'll get through this together and we'll figure it out. And again, I've seen news, and just follow the stuff. There's antibody tests and there's antibody treatments they're looking into. There are various medications that they're in the midst of trials on. So just hold on. People are dealing with this. People much smarter than myself or anybody in this house, definitely. I don't think you'd want to be upset for me saying that. But, there are a lot of smart people around this planet trying to figure this out. And I actually find that to be a reason for optimism. And it can be tough sometimes, but I think it's important. Thank you guys so much. Remember, take care of yourselves. Make sure that you're as active as you can be being in the house, and take care of the mental side of it too. So, watch Dodgeball, watch Happy Gilmore, have a good laugh at things, and just feel free to take breaks from stuff. As long as you're doing your part, I think that's the most important thing. So, thank you guys so much for everything, and I will talk to you again soon.